So here is another example of using numbers to do a layout of something that you could print out or export or have on your screen that doesn't necessarily need to perform calculations, but the whole grid style of a spreadsheet makes it useful for this kind of thing. The example is a football squares sheet. There's a game that people like to play at American football parties, like you have a Super Bowl party, and as extra fun, everybody can kind of bet on various things at the party. So what you want to do is create a 10 by 10 grid, but also have a header column and header row. So I'm going to select the table by clicking on the corner here, and now I can shrink it a bit so I have a little more room. And then I'm going to expand the number of rows, the number of columns. Now notice I get the little row 22, column 18, column 9. So it's showing me how many columns I've got. So I don't have to think about the fact that, okay, A through K, that gives me 11. I get that number there. And I could do the same thing here, but I actually have the number 11 there, and I can see now I have 11 by 11. So I've got a 10 by 10 with the header row and the header column. So let me go and take away the table name, and I'm going to want to stretch this to make everything look basically square. I can see the width and height there, and if I set it to an exact square, you'll see it actually even say square there for width and height. So get it just about to be like maybe a 6 by 6 here. Now I want to set the color here for these to be the same as the color there. So I'll go to Cell and I'll choose Color Fill. I'll make it the same color. Let's see. Oh, that. Use that, and then I'll just set this to the exact same thing. And then this I could set to white to get the look that I'm going for. So now we want to put numbers 0 through 9, and I could do it as a formula like this is B1 plus 1, but there's only 10 of them, so I'm just going to tab between them and hit the key for each. And then here I can do the same thing, hit return, and do each. And the way this would work is people would, you print this out, put it on the wall, and then people would put their name in the squares until all the squares were filled up. And then when a quarter of the football game is over, you would look at the last digit for the score. So say if it was, after the third quarter, it was 23 to 21, you could look for 3 and 1, and that intersection, the square here, the person who wrote their name in there would win a prize of some sort. But hey, you've done everything for your Super Bowl party to make everything perfect. You have the perfect chili and snacks and chips and guacamole and the right beer and everything. So why not make this look great too? Because right now it doesn't look that great. It looks like we spent a minute on it, which is what we did. Let's improve it a bit. I'm going to select these cells here and let's make the text a little bit better. Let's center the text there and also center it vertically in the middle, and then increase the size to something more appropriate. Do the same for these. So center and increase that, and it's already looking so much better. Now this may be the situation where you can fill in the squares live on the computer. You've got your MacBook on the counter and people can go and type their names in, or maybe an iMac sitting on a table somewhere. So people might want to put their names directly into here instead of printing it out and people scribbling them on it. So you can have the same thing here. You have all your names in place. I could change all these cells to be centered and centered vertically, and maybe play around with the font size to get it to look pretty good. I could also label which team goes horizontal and which team goes vertical. So one way to do that would be include a text box, and let's say name this team 1, and I could select that and copy and paste, and I'll paste another copy there And we'll do this as team 2. So let's move team 1 up here. And you see how it locks with the guide, so I can lock it right there between 4 and 5. Maybe make it a little bit bigger. Bold. Let's make this one a little bigger and bold as well. But I want this to be on the left side there. So under Arrange, I can change the angle here. So I can go 90 degrees for the angle and move this between 4 and 5 here on the left. Right about there. So that looks a lot better. Let's actually check to see how this looks. I'm going to go to File, Print. Let me see how this looks on the sheet here. So I could hit the scale here, just scale it up a bit and get it so it fits the page a little bit better. And I could set it for your printer, which may be listed there if you've got a printer connected, and that way you can deal with the margins and the type of paper and all of that. So that looks good. And one of the things you see variation is sometimes instead of being 0 to 9, these are in random order. So we could do the same kind of thing here. So I could select all of these. If I were to go Edit and Clear All, it clears the you can see it clears the formatting too. So I have to reformat. But if I do Edit and then Delete, the formatting remains, which is nice. So with the formatting still there, I could use a formula here. And I could use the rand between function and say between 0 and 9. And it gives me a random number. And you think, okay, I'll paste these in here. And now I've got a random set, except it's going to repeat numbers. Each one is independent, so you end up with 2 3s, for instance. So that's not going to work. So you need to think of a clever solution. One way to do it is to create a new sheet here and put in each of these cells here. Let's get rid of this header row. And let's put all the numbers here. We'll do 9, 0 to 9. And then here we can do just the rand function, which will return basically a random number between 0 and 1. So I paste that in here. So I get all these random numbers. Now if I sort by that, what do I get? Well, I get these random numbers in order, and it takes these along with them. So it's randomizing the order of these, but there's only one of each number because we typed in 0 through 9. So it's just changing the order of those. So now I can copy and go over back to this sheet. I can paste it here. And now a better way to paste, instead of just regular paste, is paste to match style. And you can see it matches the style there. I could do the same thing for these. But I need to match horizontally. So what I'm going to do with this sheet here is I'm going to Table, Transpose Rows and Columns. So before I transpose this table, I want to change the order. So I'm going to just enter a number here. And that, you see, the rand is recalculated. So what I'm going to do then is sort again, resorts those numbers. Now I'll go Table Transpose. So now I have a horizontal row. Copy. Go over here, select these, and I'm going to paste and match style and paste those in. So these are just regular numbers as if I had come up with this random order on my own. I can now delete this other sheet here if I wanted to. I only used it to temporarily randomize these numbers. Now a lot of times these random numbers are generated afterwards so that people fill in the squares and then the numbers are generated, maybe pulled out of a hat or something like that. So you could do that, this whole thing with this other sheet here afterwards. Everybody fills in all their names. Then you generate the numbers and paste them in. But you could also go and hide this row and hide this column. Everybody fills in their names, and then you could go to Table and unhide all rows, unhide all columns, and now the numbers are revealed and you could play the game as you watch the game on TV.